communications teacher can't communicate with half the class. Students don't want to learn, they just hope to pass. Well, they get drunk and sit on their ass. I hate to complain, but my brain is about to explode if you don't take these stones out the road. My shoulders can't take the burden of the load. I hate shiny shoes, black pants, bar shirts, and cologne. I hate watching Buddy ridicule his clone. I hate people that don't leave me alone when I nod my head to the beat of a headphone. Rockin' Kunga 219, pip skating Governor Bolt. Quoting Josh Martinez, $1.65 gives me jolts of pride and inspiration. Hip-hop is my fascination, and I relate it to my education as I seek that scarce taste of elation. I'm not really happy with the people I've met, and I bet the only one that understands is the one in the mirror. Few things have become clear, but as I gaze off into the frontier, I question if I'm even sincere. The only certainty is that I no longer fear the day that I leave this rotting sphere. Some of us perish and some of us persevere. Some of us cherish and some of us say better luck next year. We're born with hope and then we watch it disappear. And I remain positively pessimistic in my approach. Life is a sport and I beat up the coach. Or it's a session and I ate the roach and drank the bong water. Ask your sister what this song taught her. Because men just don't get it. Some of them grasped it but were quick to forget it. I regret it ever left my lips. But there was a total mental eclipse, and I think I just had a seizure. Allow me to recover at my leisure.
Whoa. I don't know what came over me there. Must have got hit on the head or something. Oh well, better pick up my books and get back to class. Got that essay to finish.
I'm sure it's been said before, but I dig this metaphor. Specifically, I'm scientifically ripping the microphone appliance. Pen and pad form an alliance, paving the way for a gravity defiance. Thoughts levitate as I abandon my train of thoughts and meditate. Clearing the vast cavities in my cerebrum, I stop selling similes to simpletons who don't believe them. They need facts, evidence, and calculated theories, but I revolve around heart, common sense, and intellectual queries. And I find the paradox in the paradigms. MC Fresh is holding a pair of rhymes, asking if we can spare a dime's a little too much for his collective thought. I bombard him with an individual onslaught of entropic topics as he shares his redundant hot picks. But I don't have cable or a radio antenna, and I could care less and sure wouldn't pretend to. I ascend to the peak of life while you descend to the placenta. Drenched in afterbirth, what was your laughter worth? And it's all relative like a cousin. And if I ever had a thought, I had at least a dozen, buzzing around in the fleshy beehive. On which side of the road should we drive? Follow American neighbors or British colonists? Quit searching for the symbolicness. It's symbolism, and I, the symbolist, have the simplest explanation for cynics and optimists. No one can put a stop to this. They say, don't worry, you'll make plenty of friends at university. So I enter this institute of enlightenment in search of kindred spirits. But when I dismount the stairs of public transportation, my welcoming consists of a dozen sets of spiked highlights sporting sandals and beer t-shirts. They half mock, half greet me with what's up homie G or sup dog, as they complain to each other about the cost of the tuition their parents pay, or how school is so hard there's no time for a part-time job. Yet I have 2 tuitions to worry about. A full course load, I work nearly full-time, I'm putting out another album, I volunteer at the campus radio station, I sponsor a child in Uganda, and I keep a close relationship with my partner in life. So I think I've earned the right to complain a little. I'm not really happy with the people I've met, and I bet the only one that understands is the one in the mirror. Few things have become clear, but as I gaze off into the frontier, I question if I'm even sincere. The only certainty is that I no longer fear the day that I leave this rotting sphere. Some of us perish and some of us persevere. Some of us cherish and some of us say better luck next year. We're born with hope and then we watch it disappear. I'm not really happy with the people I've met, and I bet the only one that understands is the one in the mirror. Few things have become clear, but as I gaze off into the frontier, I question if I'm even sincere. The only certainty is that I no longer fear the day that I leave this rotting sphere. Some of us perish and some of us persevere. Some of us cherish and some of us say better luck next year. We're born with hope and then we watch it disappear.
Awaiting musical elevation and always meeting expectation, aiming my meaningful explanation at an anticipating masterful enemy, an amusingly memorable emery, an antagonistic maximum energy, an athlete measuring endurance, an amplitude modifying existence, allowing me to enhance all mediocre entries with artistically modest expertise, an auteur manipulating aesthetic, astonishingly more energetic, amazing manifestation of electromagnetic, avant-garde medium expressionism, aristocratic majorities elitism, assertion of the merit of education, achieving much elation 109% of the time.
Outside reaching in, I gotta get out here. I don't know where to begin. Patience wearing thin. People on the outside reaching in, I gotta get out here.
Hey dude, watch where you're walking. I'm just trying to keep myself and avoid getting stuck talking. I'm up to my neck in smog and rubble, but I don't want any trouble. I just want to find a scientist to build me a bubble, so when you walk down the street with your head down, I can avoid human contact. Touching you wasn't written in my contract, I had no time to react. Hey you, do you know when people have used that keyboard? Who knows where their hands have explored? Sanitation is usually ignored. Guys in bars win an unhealthy award. I've seen them hold the snake but forget to wash their hands before eating. They shake each other's hands upon meeting. Hi, I'm Bill and I don't wash my hands, so hope you buy chicken wings. And bacteria tends to hide underneath my fancy rings. Great, I'm Jim and I didn't need it, so I guess we should ding-a-lings. And I have an STD to add to things, cause I slept with half the men and women in Southern Ontario. I'd like to see a Sleeman's commercial with that as a scenario, but I think it's the air that's really getting to my health. So I break my back to scrounge up a little excess wealth. The only luxuries I need are antibacterial spray and liquid germ away. The floors look like a giant ashtray. I sit and watch the walls decay. The ceilings are stained with the tars from tobacco. The stains are creeping down the walls and driving me wacko. I'd love to jump out the window, but you know how many people put their fingers on it? I've been exposed to deadly disease ever since I was in a baby bonnet. I guess that's why I wrote this sonnet. Man, it's really getting to me.
I don't know where to begin. Patience wearing thin. People on the outside reaching in, I gotta get out here. I don't know where to begin. Patience wearing thin. People on the outside reaching in, I gotta get out here.
Yes sir, I'm aware a rubber glove looks silly with a suit, but when I get sick you'll be getting the lawsuit. Aw shoot, the gloves are ruined, there's a hole in the index. I'll bring new ones tomorrow, but today I better buy some Windex. I can't be grabbing handles and buttons that have been fondled by perverts and gluttons. I watch people pick their noses and hide the treasures, and use the stairwells for forbidden pleasures. So what if I take drastic measures? It helps me sleep at the end of the day. I know I look like a mess, but I'm actually okay. Just a little shook up, but that goes without say.
When we're forced to interact with strangers who don't cover their mouths, he carelessly endangers the entire food court. I'm steamed, my patience is running short. I'm gonna pull the plug on life and abort. I'm suffocating, oh I must die, remain surrounded by strains of E. coli and Ebola. I guess we're just delaying the inevitable. Nowhere is safe, nothing is edible. That predicament is incredible. We're stuck here on Earth, being told what to do by people who are inferior, while deadly invisible diseases eat us up from the interior.
I don't know where to begin. Patience wearing thin. People on the outside reaching in. I gotta get out here. I don't know where to begin. Patience wearing thin. People on the outside reaching in. I gotta get out here.
Are you the newest gimmick? Selling your soul for a funny limerick. Paper chasers make me sick. MCs don't keep it real, they keep it quick. Bust on the scene, grab the cash. Burn your ties and make that getaway dash. Your CDs moved from the discount bin into the trash. Friends told you it wouldn't last. The reviews were negative and sales were diving fast. Your cars and jewelry began to disappear. At least you have those rhinestone suits as a souvenir, and enough possessions to sell to get you through the year. Once the dust clears, a good living can be made from tabloid and talk show. That means no drugs, and you have to talk slow. When stars come tumbling down, look out below. The lineup at rehab is around the block. What are you laughing at, sucker? You shouldn't talk. As we abuse the media. As we abuse the media. Cello rapper selling out shows, unaware of how much the audience knows. Their hate for him grows as they watch him dance, topless covered in sweat. It was 2 weeks ago, by now I'm sure they'd forget, but selling them out will be his last regret. At intermission, he's backstage smoking a cigarette, daydreaming about a money green Bentley, when incidentally, a fan walks up with a copy of his first single. The fan asked for an autograph, but he didn't want to mingle with some suburban high school kid. Let me tell you exactly what little Johnny did. Feeling distraught over the autograph he sought, and the $50 tickets he bought, Johnny took a chair and aimed it at the rapper's head. He hit with that accuracy and the halls were stained red. The moral of the story isn't that the silly rapper's dead, but remember your fans instead. As we abuse the media. As we abuse the media. Rapping is a vicious sport, and his players' careers are abnormally short. Some even lose their lives on the court. Rap is full contact and it's dangerous to play alone. The opposing team rushes you once you pick up the microphone. One false move and your chances of making it to the postseason are blown. Performance-enhancing drugs seem like the miracle solution, so you flood your body with that pollution. By the time you're done playing, there'll be a cheap solution, but a freak accident abruptly brings your career to an end, all washed up without a single friend. Hopefully with time the wounds will mend, but other people offer love and support. With that you just can't contend. All you have to offer are tales of your 15 minutes of fame, but those tired stories are lame, and no one remembers your name. Should've planned, but athletes like you never understand. You just run and jump on the public's demand. Ain't life grand? As we abuse the media. As we abuse the media. Welcome, listeners, students and peers. For those who don't know yet, I am AME109, and this is my second board. Some of it is spawned from the darkness that breathed in my sleepless hours, and some of it is the spore of my passion. I'll leave it to you to separate the two. Some might ask, have I fallen? No, I haven't given up being positive and making a difference. Sometimes we just tire of positivity and our thoughts deviate, and we question our company and our environment. But I wonder, am I all alone, laughing at my funny bone? Do I sit upon a throne made of cool gold? Am I overanalyzing? If so, it would not be surprising. The outside world is disguising its thoughts, so why shouldn't I? Why should I try? I rarely smile and I almost never cry. Leaving my house has become the greatest chore. The ones I love are on this side of the door. I have books and internet to explore. People are rooted in me, and their actions are obscene. But I won't fall victim to the machine. I'm the man who thought too much, and that's what is my shining scene. Possibly I have created what could be debated as perfection. A little of that famous Amos style with that soul clap connection, adding the pots and pans from under my sink to the divine rhythms. I think I'm on the brink of conception. This jam isn't an exception to the norm, but burning a hole in my head and we're barely warm. Take my favorite Pilsner and burgundy glasses to instruct the kids in audio classes. I dashes of crystal reverberation, no synthetic imitation. I need to hear the onion soup mix shaking, bang on the filing cabinet and you have the drum kicks. The zipper on my shorts makes for those dumb zips, and I tried to beatbox but I've got bum lips. I kept goobering on the mic, but I still resample the sounds to get one I like. Computer beats are fun most of the time, but if you like them so much, why don't you let the computer rhyme? Possibly I have created what could be debated as perfection. A little of that famous Amos style with that soul clap connection, adding the pots and pans from under my sink to the divine rhythms. I think I'm on the brink of conception. This jam isn't an exception to the norm, but burning a hole in my head and we're barely warmed. I've been told it raps about the art of sampling, too much recycling, too much be trampling. I love hip-hop and it needs a revamping. We're up for parole and the fat lady is stamping a great big rejection across our freedom. But AME109 has found another way to beat 'em. These tracks are just the melancholy manuscripts of a man who trips out on life daily, not anticipating the day when my mind will fail me, but I prepare for every occasion. Being of the Caucasian persuasion, no one takes me serious in hip-hop, but fame is just another glorified pit stop. I can't wait to see that shit flop. Make sure to grab a transfer. They're stopping a long way from the depot, and I like to watch the funny people through the tiny people. Remember when they used to say peace? Now we just watch the violence increase and blame it on the police. We don't own ourselves, we just lease, but the landlord doesn't keep up the maintenance, and the walls are stained so we haven't been painting since. Maybe we should fix what we have before we move. Being that I've got nothing to prove, I use household utensils to create a groove. Possibly I have created what could be debated as perfection. A little of that famous Amos style with that soul clap connection, adding the pots and pans from under my sink to the divine rhythms. I think I'm on the brink of conception. This jam isn't an exception to the norm, but burning a hole in my head and we're barely warmed. AME109, the unedited, newly accredited acoustic artist, switching up the styles on all you technologically inclined writers, beat recyclers, and jazz new biters. Doing it like our fathers did. In the two circle stick, you gotta be pretty quick, boy. You need to innovate a little bit. Create for kids that don't know.
must confess my intentions are not to impress. Allow me to digress from the rest and suggest that we seek a brighter day of an MC writer and DJ. Let's not forget the breaker, author and filmmaker, and anyone who puts their heart into a medium. Without expression, life is tedium, and I need stimulation. Inspiration comes with concentration. Focus is gained through clarity. Sincerity is the key to prosperity, and you must fully understand the severity of other situations, so give to charity. I may not be a divine disciple, but I am a prophet of pavement, and I free the people from mental enslavement, because a free mind is a thing of beauty, and doing my part is my civic duty. I'm not after the sacred booty, I just want to snatch it from those devilish boners and distribute it to its rightful owner. So what if they're a bunch of loners addicted to old vinyl and fermented barley, and they look like a cross between Bill Gates and Bob Marley? Sometimes life is really gnarly, and I'm saying thanks. Life isn't a drag when you take that extra puff. I'm living it up, I can't get enough of this hip-hop stuff. Life isn't a drag when you take that extra puff. I'm living it up, I can't get enough of this hip-hop stuff. Life isn't a drag when you take that extra puff. I'm living it up, I can't get enough of this hip-hop stuff. Life isn't a drag when you take that extra puff. I'm living it up, I can't get enough of this hip-hop stuff. You offer a penny for my pants, I take 'em off and do a dance, and then you propose a nickel to see a nipple. I throw the change in a puddle and watch the water ripple. Just another wasted thought from a confusing man. Life is an egg, my mind is a frying pan, and the burner's on a little too high. I smell burnt toast as I watch the eggs fry. Are you my favorite author? If not, what do you have to offer? I'm a technology abuser, an admitted Fruity Loop producer, / slinky jazz loop seducer, crate digger, internet junkie hybrid. And I've given up sleep, but occasionally I stare at the insides of my eyelid. I choose to combine the present with the past, without a care if my rap career will last. I may not be rhyming abnormally fast, or manipulating my voice to sound like DMX, but I enjoy learning as I write my independent text. And I stop saying take it easy cause I keep it complex, mixing work with play, but I love each action-packed day. So listen to the chorus as it explains exactly what I want to say. Life isn't a drag when you take that extra puff. I'm living it up, I can't get enough of this hip-hop stuff. Life isn't a drag when you take that extra puff. I'm living it up, I can't get enough of this hip-hop stuff. Life isn't a drag when you take that extra puff. I'm living it up, I can't get enough of this hip-hop stuff. Life isn't a drag when you take that extra puff. I'm living it up, I can't get enough of this hip-hop stuff. Hello, my name is AME and I'm very pleased to meet you. My intentions are not to battle and try to beat you, but that you can teach me and I can try to teach you. I must admit I'm extremely thrilled my words could reach you. Across the furthest extremities of land, things have progressed faster than I'd ever planned. And I'm thrilled some of you understand my poetry and prose, so we can join together to battle those who oppose. Some of you just dig the beats, I suppose, and that still makes me smile, because although I've only been making them for a short while, I genuinely certify their authenticity. Each one is filled with heart and a jolt of dynamic electricity. Some are complex, some capitalize on simplicity, but each is an equally supported offspring. So please cherish this heartfelt offering. Life isn't a drag when you take that extra puff. I'm living it up, I can't get enough of this hip-hop stuff. Life isn't a drag when you take that extra puff. I'm living it up, I can't get enough of this hip-hop stuff. Life isn't a drag when you take that extra puff. I'm living it up, I can't get enough of this hip-hop stuff. Life isn't a drag when you take that extra puff. I'm living it up, I can't get enough of this hip-hop stuff. Recollection of everything since is bleak, but I remember that unusually cold November as if it were last week. I clenched my frostbitten fingers as the frigid air beat across an exposed cheek. It felt like I was some freak as I watched the people pass by in their heated cars. Us less fortunate are just defeated scars, but I wouldn't accept loss as I camped out under the stars, praying I would wake to see the sunrise. Getting my hopes up would be unwise, so before bed I said my goodbyes, and the tears froze my eyes closed.
My so-called shelter left me exposed to the creatures of the night. Overwhelmed with emotions and fright, I don't think thoughts of my dad even crossed my mind. I was on my way and I'd left him behind. If he can't see my pain, he must be blind. I had to let my troubles unwind. I'm just sorry he couldn't show me support. Running away was the last resort, but I just couldn't take the pressure. At dawn, the ultraviolet began to thaw my numbskin, and I felt a slight warmth from within. As I watched the day begin, the first true thoughts of my father sunk in, carried on a bed of tears. He spent nearly 20 years conquering my fears, providing me with shelter and nutrition as my insecurities beat him into submission. And last night, out of spite, I decided to ignite the darkness in both of our hearts. As soon as he starts yelling, I lose my temper and emotions escalate. I saw the look in his eyes, but I decided not to investigate. Stubborn pride had me sleeping outside. When emotions collide, families divide. But now as pain subsides, I accept my wrongs and sing my saddened songs. I still don't know where this wanderer belongs. I woke up this morning, and I dressed like someone else, to sell myself to the corporations I hate, with hopes that they might pay me enough to sustain life. When I arrived at my destination, I briefly looked around, and I couldn't see myself. All I saw was what I hoped I'd never become, and I wondered how we got to this point. Life is a parking lot that I circle without a place to fit in, and it's an exciting lecture, but the professor won't let me sit in. Every day I spit in the bucket of disappointment. I'm just a fly in the ointment. I'm sorry if I spit on you, but the poet has found what he's fit to do. Rhyme for the fit and few. True academics are scarce and far between. I hunt them out of the mode, median and mean. To separate the pure and fakes, real heads smell like beer, the others smell like urine cakes. They say I can't be avant-garde without a new sound card, and I'm not old school unless I blaze cess and eat the magic toadstool. But I need a clear head to be the optimistic pessimist, and the chauvinistic feminist, the snake that's venomless, just symbolic of a possible danger, a careless stranger at a passing glance. I try to be a b-boy, but I can't strike a passing stance. This might be my last chance. I'm Tom Petty on the bus to rehab, and this is my last dance. I blow a kiss to Mary Jane and use the time to dissect my scary brain. The scenery is very plain. I miss the mountains, I miss glacier water and natural fountains, but not as much as I miss our innocence. Desensitized to the lies and pain, the teachers must put aside their fears and use their brain and guide the masses from insecurity back to the innocence of the purity we once knew. Hours are turning as flowers are burning, but the powers are learning. As I lesson in humanities with my lesson in humanities. Hours are turning as flowers are burning, but the powers are learning. As I lesson in humanities with my lesson in humanities. So the poets regained their composure and began their quest of exposure, hoping they'd get full disclosure. Life is a naked lesson, and I'm still undressing. Right now I'm standing in my final undergarment. I just passed the exam and I'm already facing disbarment. I'll lock myself in my apartment and watch reality shows to test my perception, holding on to the truth in a pool of deception. But my teachings come through with a last-minute interception. Brain and lips spawn lyrical conception, and you know that's a scary thought. Are you the type that makes a mad face every time you get bad bass, or the treble isn't at the right level? I don't really stress that stuff because to me it's irrelevant. I'm more concerned with rhyming because it's my element. I don't want to be the sound boy at the show, I just want to share the facts and opinions I know. I used to love being unsigned and hella broke, but it seems my mentors were blowing hella smoke, and our eyes big surprise that Barcelo choke. Pressing tracks at a major label, a thoroughbred at a stable. Pretty soon they'll be in MTV's top 20. I could press 500 wax and that'd still be plenty. Distribution is pollution, we better start the revolution before hip-hop becomes an institution. Desensitized.
My integrity is my livelihood. I wouldn't sell it for any green. But maybe some browns and even a couple of those reds.
Hours are turning as flowers are burning, the powers are learning. As I lesson in humanities with my lesson in humanities. Hours are turning as flowers are burning, the powers are learning. As I lesson in humanities with my lesson in humanities.
People should like money, but they don't know why. And they can't put it down, no matter how hard they try. I've got a money-prone funny bone. People should like money, but they don't know why. And they can't put it down, no matter how hard they try. I've got a money-prone funny bone. If money is the root of all evil, why is it the basis for our existence? Psychologists don't know, they've never had checks bounced, they've never needed financial assistance. They go on stating many things in life just don't have answers, but I've got a few words for those educated prancers. The common schmo doesn't know the meaning of a dollar, but in all honesty it shouldn't take a university scholar. Let me loosen up my joints and break things down to a few simple points. Point 1, make sure to have fun, but at all costs don't let debt get you overrun, because there's nothing wrong with debt in moderation. However, once it adds up, and you're seeking a second occupation, your levels of stress and frustration can lead to heart complication. So know where you stand and don't step out of your bounds, no matter how good that new DVD player sounds. My second point, we all know credit isn't free money, it's a loan with the worst interest possible. And paying it back is next to impossible. That's why most people's children end up paying their final bills at the hospital. But until that day, the sky's the limit for your credit. Think Visa's worried about you paying them back, you can forget it. They have insurance for that, you just don't get it. All you're asked to do is pay back what you borrow. But you think for today and spoil tomorrow. When I think of you, I'm overcome with sorrow. But ignorance must have been soaked into your genes, not to know what the total balance column means. Just sorry lifestyle fiends. Just sorry lifestyle fiends. Just sorry lifestyle fiends. People should like money, but they don't know why. And they can't put it down, no matter how hard they try. I've got a money-prone funny bone. People should like money, but they don't know why. And they can't put it down, no matter how hard they try. I've got a money-prone funny bone. Your pension? It's funny that you should mention that joke and bring another scam to our attention. Retirement funds are just a company's incentive to make you stay. No one wants to leave and watch their savings fade away. But the truth is, when you spend more money than you have today, you can never retire. Just work part-time and watch your debt climb higher. My third concept involves shaping a strategy, because without planning, things are always worse than they had to be. Seeing hard-working people ask for payday advances is a tragedy. If paychecks are received bi-weekly, then divide the month's rent by 2. Subtract that amount from each paycheck and put it in a place that you don't have access to. By the end of the month you should be set. Another way of escaping debt is never to forget to pay all bills as they arrive. Procrastinating is no way to survive. Those who kept their heads above water will one day thrive. And my heart goes out to all of you, sit and wait for luck to pay off, because that's a ride I prefer to stay off. You read those signs that say $50,000 winning tickets sold here, but I've got another secret for you to hear. If you take a toothpick and dig inside your ear, you'll find a small gold nugget. Fool's gold, that is. People should like money, but they don't know why. And they can't put it down, no matter how hard they try. I've got a money-prone funny bone. People should like money, but they don't know why. And they can't put it down, no matter how hard they try. I've got a money-prone funny bone.
But I'm certain, honey, that life would be sunny with plenty of money and you.
Sometimes I really hate this school. Sometimes I really hate this school.
My teeth clench as my shoe penetrates a solid surface. Beneath the crust is a powder, so it serves no purpose. The powder still breaches my boots' seal, soaking my socks. My toes feel like rocks. I might as well use the road if they consider this plowing a sidewalk. Each morning I lay in bed 30 seconds longer than the previous. Look out my window at the wind blowing its air as devious. It lingers under the tree branches, playing innocent as it dances back and forth. As soon as I leave my apartment, it rushes in from the north. Its frigid fingers whipping against my cheeks as I stumble towards my bus stop, passing by a few boutiques. I need to partially defrost, so I browse at some local art and antiques. One of my regular techniques, but I never last long before it's back to the street. Forced to leave their sanctity and heat, and be devoured by the winter air. In a snowsuit, sweatsuit, chook, and long underwear. But the gusts breach my apparel and linger under there. No sun in sight, yet I'm blinded by the glare. Reflected off the snowbanks. I'm usually quite grateful, but in the winter I never give thanks. Surrounded by death, above my head hang frozen shanks. They give them cute names like icicles, until spring rolls around and innocent kids are impaled while riding bicycles. They call it an accident, claiming this year's spring was just a late bloomer. Winter is a malignant tumor, and fate has a cruel sense of humor.
Sometimes I really hate this school. Sometimes I really hate this school.
After my forsaken journey, I seek refuge under the awning of a local confectionery. I'm not a customer, its purpose is solely protectionary. I can't feel my face. Legs heavy like lead tree stumps. The 5 fingers of my gloves now form 3 clumps. This bus is slower than molasses. I wish I was in bed, but instead I wait, relying on public transportation to reach classes. My fingers feel like they're about to shatter like drunks with dollar store wine glasses. I put the tape in my Walkman and hope this bitter time passes. My pants are frozen to the side of my hiking boots. I reconsider my desire for intellectual pursuits, but up the skating room only coach scoops. We're all broke, everyone commutes. I overhear some trivial disputes, but I adjust the volume and try to compensate. Take out my pen and try to concentrate. The body heat on the bus tends to thaw out my creative juices. Nearly freezing to death frequently induces a creative state of mind in which a writer usually produces his greatest invention. I don't think pain as motivation is any of our intentions, but true writing doesn't follow any logical convention. Our chariot comes to an abrupt halt. The guy in front of me practically does a somersault. He's in a great deal of pain, but in a way that's the driver's fault, a form of unintentional assault. We ignore him and descend a steep and soaking stairs. Another kid falls on his face. Once again, no one cares. Our only goal is reaching those icy doors. Inside, the snow from frozen shoes melts and leads to slushy floors. Once moist lips turn to blushy sores. Cracked and bleeding, no strips impeding any further proceeding until met with cotton tissue. Just got to school and I already have issues. I have a pretty good idea of how the day will unfold. This routine is getting pretty old. Sometimes I really hate this cold.
Sometimes I really hate this school. Sometimes I really hate this school.
Wow, $400 a month plus gas and hydro. This apartment is a steal. When the winter came around, the picture became a little more real. The low rent lost its initial appeal. Gas prices rising, now heat costs more than rent. Subtract rent and utilities for my paycheck, and I don't have a cent. Snow and tree bar cook my lighter for breakfast. Cold showers and frozen water as a main course, and now I'm getting restless. Sell the TV, get my wife to pawn her necklace. Now we can buy a bag of rice at the bulk bar. Don't get me wrong, I've acquired a taste for salt yarn, but sodium and wool do a world of hurt on your intestines. She spent her half on rice, I'm gonna invest mine. Lottery tickets are a sure bet. Once we win that 16 million, we can pay off our debt. Go to Florida and buy a private jet. But when they call the wrong numbers, I get upset. Oh well, better shovel the driveway before we can no longer open the door. Continue the battle in Canada's never-ending war. I may not have much, but at least I've got snow galore. And dreams of a day when they take Canadian Tire money at the liquor store. At least they say spring is approaching fast. Fast, that's a funny word. That's what I've been doing since autumn passed. 5 months of starving and freezing, I pray each day will be the last. Yesterday in bed my feet froze, so today I double up my socks with the holes in the toes. Use my sleeve to wipe my eyes and my nose, and down a shot of ice to drown out my woes.
Sometimes I really hate this school.
champagne is derived from the nectar of the ages, as its juices ferment, and I pause to savor the moment. That bitter taste matures to the tannins of victory. I shake my vines, hoping at least one of my grapes of wrath plants its seed. It forms a parasitic relationship with a neighboring weed, using its strength to feed. The task that lies ahead is of epic proportions indeed. Allow me to take the lead and point out that in the garden of rap most flowers are annuals. They're planted in the spring by heartless owners that follow the manuals. But as spring passes they begin to be neglected, so feeling disrespected they rot and leave the flower bed infected. There was one particularly brilliant blossom. It was that of this author. His beauty was awesome. We used to revel in the elegance of his diction, but time has passed and now he confuses two-dimensional characters of fiction with his own personal depiction. They say he just grew too fond of his own reflection, then he never again opened his bulb, too busy showing himself affection. And when the sun shone down, to avoid glare he turned in the opposite direction. So now his brain is malnourished and overrun by infection. And he uses his skills to infect the ones who once held him so dear, manipulating his words to penetrate their ear, inventing false crises, overwhelming them with fear. They believe the rambles of this madman to be the solution, and they make change their newest resolution, but their minds are too filled with pollution. And they say revolution, but they're too busy trying to say it right that they forget why they say it. They forget why they say it. Forget why they say it. Another sound boy dead. 2 shots straight to him head. Fill his mind up with lead, pierced with a stray mental bullet. My pen is a trigger, you didn't figure I would pull it, but you're staring down the barrel of my 9. Is this a battle? You show me yours, I'll show you mine. See who can most defend those on the receiving end of innuendos, and who smokes mo endos. Sorry, I can't pretend those flows belong to me. I can feel words, the force is strong with me, and I would never tempt my fate with the dark side. I'm driving and parked inside. My head is a black hole whose vast won't be filled until I has control of every last soul. Is giving back more than they take, labeling others as skilled instead of fake. I dream I will awake, free of head and heartache, but that day is growing more and more distant, and the opposition is growing more and more resistant. However, my warriors and I are persistent, and the fate of rap music is in our hands. We plead to the capitalist, but Uncle Sam never understands. The battle has gone on for so long, and I am no longer strong. My wits are dulling, and I'm losing my persistence. So I ask you, please join the resistance. The resistance. The resistance. So there you have it. No matter how cold the story is that's told.
Don't let your heart slip away.
Don't get too old too quick.
Don't let your heart slip away.
Rap is sensitive.
Some of us work hard for this. I have a job.
Don't let your heart slip away. Don't let your heart slip away.
Rap is sensitive.
Television. Television. Live from the Silicon Valley, the prophets of plastic present reality. Truth, order, and morale are merely a formality, and we, the corporation, are more concerned with the legality.
Live from the Silicon Valley, the prophets of plastic present reality. Truth, order, and morale are merely a formality, and we, the corporation, are more concerned with the legality.
Live from the Silicon Valley, the prophets of plastic present reality. Truth, order, and morale are merely a formality, and we, the corporation, are more concerned with the legality.
Reality. Truth, order, and morale are merely a formality, and we, the corporation, are more concerned with the legality.
You came to the party not to have a good time, but get your salad tossed. Gonna claim some pure souls, no matter what the moral cost. Spent the night chasing angels with goals of innocence lost. I spent my life chasing you, but tonight I'm overwhelmed with exhaust. This is my opus in the third and second person. About a third and second person that grows as we watch our condition worsen. He lurks in the shadows as we lie awaiting our imminent demise. Counting the minutes till he can flee and discard his disguise. Break these ties and spread new lies. He feeds off the misfortune born through his actions. Sees in distortions and abstractions. Through malicious interactions he reaps satisfactions. Loved by many, a blind to scab on mankind. Hate and revenge combined couldn't stop his catastrophe. A reincarnation of blasphemy, and quite the task for me to handle. For years I've been burning both ends of the candle, chasing this purity vandal. As he throws his tag across the face of a teenager. Hey boy, you wanna be a star, you better start lifting weights and buy a cell phone or pager. Hang them from your belt loops, better start dieting and eating these pills that cause screen poops. There's no accurate measure of how low he stoops, spreading propaganda and stealing children's pride. When you're home alone, he uses cartoons to get inside your skull. You can run and hide, but his domain stretches wide. Television is medium of choice. He speaks for our generation, we don't have a voice. Television tells our daughters and sisters to be a size 2 with breasts like watermelons. It turns our sons and brothers from scholars into felons. Television, it tells women they're weak and inferior. It shows men they have nothing on the interior. We're at the bottom of the food chain, feeding those who are superior. Television.
Live from the Silicon Valley, the prophets of plastic present reality. Truth, order, and morale are merely a formality, and we, the corporation, are more concerned with the legality.
Live from the Silicon Valley, the prophets of plastic present reality. Truth, order, and morale are merely a formality, and we, the corporation, are more concerned with the legality.
Live from the Silicon Valley, the prophets of plastic present reality. Truth, order, and morale are merely a formality, and we, the corporation, are more concerned with the legality.
Live from the Silicon Valley, the prophets of plastic present reality. Truth, order, and morale are merely a formality, and we, the corporation, are more concerned with the legality.
Welcome back to our show, where we'll proudly exploit males or females. Sponsored by Trojan Tommy and Press on Lee Nails. That dude hasn't waxed his chest. Oh, I'm gonna make sure he fails. And she's been eating carbs again, so she's out too. They implant microchips and debit cards so they can track and know everything about you. Sir, have you made any major purchases in the past 6 months? You lie. My computer says you did last week. What did you buy? Given no time to reply. Let's see. Condoms? No, that's not it. Well, there it is, herpes medication. Haha, don't tell me you've got it. Because my computer says right here exactly where you bought it. Television tells us we must treat the opposite sex like meat and crave it. We must tame the beast, torture it, and enslave it. 12-year-old babies are having babies and taking definite no's as maybes. Television spreads lust like rabies, infecting minds with Baywatch, Temptation Island, and dating games, making false statements and claims, and shaping our lives around marketing of brand names. Welcome to the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by Goodyear and Gatorade. Here's Terry Bradshaw in a Versace suit, which ensures he gets major laid. I guarantee he gets major paid. Athletes no longer live for the sport, but the endorsement, until it dries up and they crawl back to their jobs in law enforcement, so they can take out their shortcomings on innocent pedestrians, and make names for themselves by arresting innocent thespians, or have a sex change and be a guest on a talk show titled Ex-Celebrity Cops Turn Lesbians. Where do we draw the line between entertainment and offensive? How about now that the damage done on kids is so extensive that they wrap their bodies in other people's names just to feel expensive?
Live from the Silicon Valley, the prophets of plastic present reality. Truth, order, and morale are merely a formality, and we, the corporation, are more concerned with the legality.
Live from the Silicon Valley, the prophets of plastic present reality. Truth, order, and morale are merely a formality, and we, the corporation, are more concerned with the legality.
Live from the Silicon Valley, the prophets of plastic present reality. Truth, order, and morale are merely a formality, and we, the corporation, are more concerned with the legality.
Live from the Silicon Valley, the prophets of plastic present reality. Truth, order, and morale are merely a formality, and we, the corporation, are more concerned with the legality.
Television. Television. Television.
Darkness lies in the hearts of even the brightest men.
Wandering through to the darker side, I gave up all my innocence, and I haven't been the same since. Living in the bushes, I could really use a rinse, but no one will let me through the door, not even to sleep on the floor. Since that old man caught me in his office drawer, I don't need any more. Just listen to the shells I find on the seashore. Hunger becomes pretty tough to ignore, but you gotta choose your battles. I beat in the drum of war as the tambourine rattles. Once you cross the golden line, there's no returning. Standing in the middle of a rope bridge as the other end is burning. I guess with each mistake I make, I'm learning. As the seasons are turning, I learn less every day, and I feel remorse in every way, but what can I say?
An evil is tearing inside of my mind, impairing the sense of my mind. I'm legally blind but sick of the mentality kind. An evil is tearing inside of my mind, impairing the sense of my mind. I'm legally blind but sick of the mentality kind.
I try to make a difference in life, but I lay in indifference and strife. Until the day I threatened myself with a knife, Lucifer appeared to make me a deal. I felt like a dream, but it looked oh so real. He offered me powers that had such appeal. In return I had to lie, cheat, and steal. The direction my life was heading was now at least a direction, so I went on my way with my newfound protection, and fought at rejection as those with perfection, challenged my being. Once I unleashed my fury, they screamed as they were fleeing. I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I wasn't exactly disagreeing. My powers and I went on a little hiatus, because the townspeople really began to hate us. When we returned, everything was copacetic, but they looked so pathetic, how they could just forget it if I said I regret it. So I apologize with fingers crossed. My love is lost, and my heart is covered with frost.
An evil is tearing inside of my mind, impairing the sense of my mind. I'm legally blind but sick of the mentality kind.
An evil is tearing inside of my mind, impairing the sense of my mind. Not legally blind but sick of the mentality kind. 1. Neo-Eon, that's what the dung beetle spawned. In the future shock at Beelzebub's bubonic supermarket, tree huggers get the front lawn pesticide. Like Mark Chapman gave John Lennon the Catcher in the Rye. Captain Clark in the kingdom of Nye, family ties beyond the naked eye. Jekyll and Hyde, Gemini, mechanized in the friendly skies. With an evil twin, a secret society tries to reap the benefits and beat the elements into a biohazardous waste and plasma. Beating a dead horse into outer space and antimatter. Brought him to the water, but he just wouldn't drink it. Only gallop around the world while it's shrinking. My pinky ring has a mind of its own. At 27, the Grim Reaper collects your soul. Typecast in a doppelganger, role reversal. At the nudist colony, ready for the dress rehearsal. Red and purples decay as I die covered by the earth and pass away with flying colors. An evil is tearing inside of my mind, impairing the sight of my mind. Not legally blind but sick of the mentality kind. An evil is tearing inside of my mind, impairing the sight of my mind. Not legally blind but sick of the mentality kind. Yeah. Noah 23, AME109, reppin' on terrible. Yeah.
Spoken word poet grabs the microphone to throw it. Who'd have ever known it was an entity of its own? That shiny silver microphone can break barriers of sound. Feel it tremble all around. The auditory collapses, spawning audio synapses. A physician suggests perhaps it's just a little screw loose, no longer of use. Replaced with the newest trend. The cycle will never end, whether possession or a friend. People tire of things. A change brings a new day to the week and adds mystique to the calendar. Society votes for the challenger. No need to analyze the fines because we've already made up our minds. The public wears glasses, contact lenses, back pretenses, they always protect. But that might be a hint to treat us tradition. Our culture is on exhibition, and all the middle is gone, so they discard the rest.
Persistence will be unchallenged without good that is the Jimmy Stewart to the Liberty Balance. Persistence is fertile and poetic to me, seeing all knowing, unprecedented entity. Hip-hop was meant to be the future projected instrumentally. Verbal prophets prophesizing, writers writing, breaking, the people realizing the beauty doesn't need disguising. It radiates from the center of the being. What's on the inside is worth seeing. There will always be those disagreeing, fighting for economic cause. The future is worth bruises and broken jaws. Don't repeat so applause on this divine between rolls and gauze. Can we still hear? Can we be fair? Can we still share our rhymes to escape sincere?
Spoken word poet grabs the microphone to throw it. Who'd have ever known it was an entity of its own? That shiny silver microphone can break barriers of sound. Feel it tremble all around. The auditory collapses, spawning audio synapses. A physician suggests perhaps it's just a little screw loose, no longer of use. Replaced with the newest trend. The cycle will never end, whether possession or a friend. People tire of things. A change brings a new day to the week and adds mystique to the calendar. Society votes for the challenger. No need to analyze the fines because we've already made up our minds. The public wears blinds as
nuisances and victims they can't imitations of the elements. I time you hate like about elegance, but there comes a time when we all the tasty middle is gone, so they discard the rest. It makes us feel accepted. Hip-hop is infected, discard the rest. And doctors to learn to treat this shit. Our culture's on exhibition, and those media tyrants are ridiculing our resistance. The persistence will be unchallenged. Without good, the bad is unbalanced. The Jimmy Stewart to the Liberty Balance. Persistence is fertile and pro-wedding to me, seeing all knowing the unprecedented entity. Hip-hop was meant to be the future projected instrumentally. Verbal prophets prophesizing, writers writing, breaking, people realizing the beauty doesn't need disguising. It radiates from the center of the being. What's on the inside is worth seeing. There'll always be those disagreeing, fighting for economic cause. The future is worth bruises and broken jaws, whether beatings or applause. I'll keep smiling through the roles of gauze. Listeners invade my thoughts, sailing through the onslaughts of gibberish I try to process, taking souvenirs and leaving me nauseous. Listeners invade my thoughts, sailing through the onslaughts of gibberish I try to process, taking souvenirs and leaving me nauseous.
The longer I hesitate, fears levitate, disturbing any prior state of equilibrium. I turn thoughts from fear to laughter, then they disappear, keeping my heart sincere so I can confront the man in the mirror. Bottled up feelings, bound to erupt and spray on ceilings, unless met with swifter dealings. A pen is the mop that stops the cobwebs in my cerebellum. Greedy hands turn around and try to sell them, recycling, turning them into what provoked their creation. A never-ending cycle needing permanent cessation, spewing out occasional narrative elation. Please disregard this conversation. It is strictly for the ears of friend, for fear its content potentially offends the one who isn't but frequently pretends to be an allied force, viewing an artist's love as intercourse and the marriage with his music as destined for divorce. I disagree, of course. This opinion is the source of our reasons behind being independent. No need for speaking condescending. My peers and I have different goals. No one controls the minds of these kindred souls. I understand the business behind the art, but I don't want to be a part, because soon as the checks start wearing thin, you'll shoot me out the door with an evil grin. Go sell someone else your smut and sin. Independence is the only way I win.
Listeners invade my thoughts, sailing through the onslaughts of gibberish I try to process, taking souvenirs and leaving me nauseous. Listeners invade my thoughts, sailing through the onslaughts of gibberish I try to process, taking souvenirs and leaving me nauseous.
Ego swell with pride, faith and destiny collide, bystanders step aside. This is my opus personified, an invitation to step inside the nightmarish dreamscape that makes me tick. Let's ignite the wick, let the fuse burn down to the core. Run for cover, hit the floor, dodging shrapnel of a straying metaphor. We've only just begun the war. Let's send children off to be slaughtered like cattle. Forget innocence, let's have them fight our battle. Stain the fields red, but the true battle lies inside my head, getting my hunger for knowledge fed and releasing it in a creative outlet. I know I wrote a lot of rhymes, but I don't think they're all out yet, cause I still can't sleep at night. I sit in bed and recite conversations from the previous day. I analyze the peoples and the things they say until I make 100% sense of what they really meant. Insomnia is torment. Someone suggested pills, but that I resent. I assume my purpose in life is understanding, but this purpose is quite demanding, so I pass my discoveries on to other scholars. I seek the truth while all they really seek is dollars, but custom-tailored Italian blue collars. Don't confuse me when I lay counting them instead of sheep. My names for them would be censored with a beep, but I refrain and bask in the satisfaction that I reap as I'm rewarded with a good night's sleep.
Listeners invade my thoughts, sailing through the onslaughts of gibberish I try to process, taking souvenirs and leaving me nauseous. Listeners invade my thoughts, sailing through the onslaughts of gibberish I try to process, taking souvenirs and leaving me nauseous. Listeners invade my thoughts, sailing through the onslaughts of gibberish I try to process, taking souvenirs and leaving me nauseous. Listeners invade my thoughts, sailing through the onslaughts of gibberish I try to process, taking souvenirs and leaving me nauseous.
Hey, man. People aren't really feeling your style. They say your delivery doesn't sound spontaneous enough.
Hey, man.
Maybe you should start
People aren't really
memorizing
feeling
your
your style.
verses.
They say
And
your
your
delivery
lyrics are
doesn't sound
good, but your
spontaneous
flow is
enough.
boring.
Maybe you should start memorizing your verses. And your lyrics are good, but your flow is boring.
I'm sorry if my flow had you snoring and you were ignoring the fact that I put my brain on a platter and poured my heart out, but that doesn't matter. If I started plugging my nose, my rhymes would sound fatter. Each dream I have will shatter, and at the other end will stand a closed-minded critic, acting more catalytic than analytic with a parasitic bias. My relationship with hip-hop is pious, and no one will defy us when I manifest through emphatic syncopated ostentato rhythm. I maintain my bravado with them because it's not a front. Allow me to be perfectly blunt, I'd rather be dead than a rap star. Personal fulfillment is what I'm after, and an outlet to vent my creativity. Ignorance overwhelms my positivity and staggers my productivity. Hip-hop isn't a sexual activity, it's expression with insensitivity. And most of its prophets are saying nothing. They promise to save hip-hop, but we're bluffing.
My style is intentional, my rhymes are my focus. And if you want to hear great flow, go put on that mainstream radio station. Because unless it's natural, you won't hear it here. This is 109% organic.
Everyone's so busy criticizing that they're not realizing hip-hop is disguising itself behind gimmicks and possessions. Rappers are the objects of obsessions. When it becomes their professions, any degree of integrity will be lost. MCs that keep it real pay the final cost when our hearts die and we give in to the exhaust. Everyone's so busy criticizing that they're not realizing hip-hop is disguising itself behind gimmicks and possessions. Rappers are the objects of obsessions. When it becomes their professions, any degree of integrity will be lost. MCs that keep it real pay the final cost when our hearts die and we give in to the exhaust.
After more than 2 takes, the verse isn't worth a nickel. Rappers who rehearse make my funny bone tickle. It comes from the heart and their efforts are in the wrong place. I don't need perfection or strong bass, I'm not a performer. I'm an author and artist. If you love what you do, you can disregard this. This is directed to those who have dreams of, quote, making it. They get in the studio and the producers can start faking it. I'm no longer taking it. Popular culture is a disease and it's getting under my skin. Its basis is sunder and sin, segregation and separation, but they won't win until I'm dead or in the loony bin. It would be nice to have some critics on my side for personal pride, but those who are along for the ride best step aside. There's only room for a handful of enlightened peers that don't act like frightened deers when the light is upon us in our darkest hour, and it's time to feel the sharpest power and test what humanity can do.
I can only take a few. It's not too late. Will it be you?
Everyone's so busy criticizing that they're not realizing hip-hop is disguising itself behind gimmicks and possessions. Rappers are the objects of obsessions. When it becomes their professions, any degree of integrity will be lost. MCs that keep it real pay the final cost when our hearts die and we give in to the exhaust. Everyone's so busy criticizing that they're not realizing hip-hop is disguising itself behind gimmicks and possessions. Rappers are the objects of obsessions. When it becomes their professions, any degree of integrity will be lost. MCs that keep it real pay the final cost when our hearts die and we give in to the exhaust.
You, I may be terrifying, gravity defying, but never lying. Honestly, I'm trying. We got off on the wrong foot and I feel misunderstood. My intentions were all good, but there was an evil shadow lurking where I stood. He was manipulating my words for malice, but now he's back at his evil palace, drinking blood from his sacred chalice. If this is Wonderland, I sure feel like Alice. Upsides are downsides, and green sides are brown sides. Enough talk, let's find out where that clown hides. Through Wanderer's woods and the frozen valley. Through the town of Bramblewood we take the darkest alley. At the base of Isis Mountain is where the truth will rally. So gather your sandalwoods and sages. Old spell books better skim their pages. Who knows what form of war this devil wages? With my lucky staff I have yet to fail. They say with good on your side you will always prevail, but tell that to our allies rotting in jail. I thank my lucky stars I was wise enough to purchase that elven cloak, and I put it in the sack filled with ether, so I'll let it soak. The legend has it this evil's powers are so fierce, no man could withstand a single stroke. But their time wasn't right, this is our hour. I've been training all my life for this day, so I round up my band of elves and we're on our way.
And they are the most skilled of the elves. They added much to his teaching. Cruel and violent in many shapes of power and fear, he wielded cold and fire from the tops of the mountains to the deep furnaces that are beneath them.
But Mr. AME, I'm too scared. I can't go on.
Son, scared isn't an option, even elves are made of sterner stuff. The Dark One can see inside your eyes, he'll end up calling your bluff. I've had enough of listening to elves bicker and whine. We made it to the rally point and our numbers are fine. Thus far the Dark One has showed no sign. We now find ourselves at the foot of the castle of stone. No man or elf can be left alone. Shadow creatures lurk in every corner and behind every door. I can see the reflection of one above me in the glistening floor, but he dares not attack with my men at my back. I reach inside my sack and sprinkle a touch of pixie dust in the air. It lights up the room, revealing monsters everywhere, but they're repelled by the light to which I was unaware. We flew through a tall archway and up a winding staircase. The shadows give fair chase, but we're all in top physical form. We're miles ahead and barely warm, when in the distance I notice a flickering light. And next came the most amazing sight. The Dark Lord appeared in all his might. Amidst all the lights and sound, all I saw was one mixed up overlord gone overboard. But we stood and endured his show. As soon as he finished, I bombarded him with all the spells I know. His response was slow, but the results were devastating. He was there for a show, but I wasn't hesitating. That's a pretty neat trick there. But while you were performing, I was busy schooling you with knowledge.
For man was free from evil. For man was free from evil. For man was free from evil, and could not comprehend it, and could not comprehend it, and did not perceive that all love had departed from him forever.